Dawn breaks over the African savanna, and a family of elephants begins to move. To survive here, they rely on more than strength. They depend on memory that stretches across decades and miles of terrain. For this young calf, Quito, that memory lives inside the mind of the matriarch who walks ahead of him. She is Amara, the oldest female in the herd, carrying a mental map that can mean life or death. From the air, the savanna looks like a sea of grass, but on the ground it is a patchwork of hidden resources and risks. Seasonal rivers appear and vanish, salt licks hide in distant valleys, and groves of marula trees fruit unpredictably. Some watering holes stay reliable for centuries, while others dry up within a single generation. A herd that knows the difference can thrive. A herd that does not may struggle to survive. That is why elephants choose leaders not by who is strongest, but by who has lived long enough to remember. Amara remembers where water once flowed in distant droughts, where predators have stalked, and where humans have brought danger before. In Kenya's Amboseli National Park, researchers like Nia have followed elephant families like hers for decades. Their studies show that herds led by older matriarchs consistently outperform those led by younger females, especially when the environment turns harsh. During a brutal drought, when grass withers and the obvious water holes dry up, younger leaders often hesitate or turn back too soon. History holds a stark example. Between 1958 and 1961, a severe drought in Tanzania's Tarangire National Park killed roughly one-third of the elephants there. The herds that survived were led by matriarchs old enough to remember another drought long before, and the hidden water sources that had saved them then. Like them, Amara can guide her family toward places no calf can smell or see yet, drawing on memories that reach back before Quito was born. As he walks in her shadow, each step he takes follows paths chosen by minds far older than his own. But how does a matriarch remember so much? And how will Quito learn to carry that knowledge when her footsteps are gone? Inside Amara's skull lies the largest brain of any land animal, about 11 pounds, nearly 4 times heavier than a typical human brain. Within that mass, her temporal lobes, the brain regions that handle memory, are especially dense and intricate, but raw size alone does not explain her gift. What matters is how years of experience are stored and shared, and those lessons begin whenever the family reaches a place that matters for survival. At a rare, reliable waterhole, the older females slow down, circling the shore, testing the mud and the breeze, while the calves watch and imitate. They return here again and again as the seasons turn, turning this patch of ground into a landmark etched into the minds of every young elephant. Dangerous places are memorized just as carefully, sites where lions once attacked or where people with guns approached, become points the matriarch will skirt or cross in silence. For female calves, this is a lifelong apprenticeship. They stay with their birth family for life, traveling the same routes beside mothers, aunts, and sisters. Year after year, every dry season, every long walk to water, and every crisis the herd survives is added to a growing mental library inside each young mind. A female born today may not lead a family for 50 or 60 years, yet by then she will have walked thousands of miles learning from older matriarchs. One of her most important tools is the trunk, with more than 40,000 muscles, and a nose so sensitive it can detect water and distant rain on the wind. Young elephants learn to read what their own trunks are telling them by watching how elders react, turning, pausing, or changing pace at scents they cannot yet interpret. When the matriarch lifts her trunk, tastes the air, and suddenly changes direction, the entire herd notices, and the calves start linking that smell to that turn. Step by step, These shared moments weave into an invisible map, and as the herd sets out on a longer journey, Quito will follow an ancient route he does not yet understand. As the dry season deepens, Amara leads her family on a longer trek, following a route her own mother once walked. Some elephant families follow migration paths that have changed little for hundreds of years, linking grass, shade, and water in a precise sequence. These routes skirt steep ravines, choose easy slopes, and arrive at waterholes just as seasonal rains have filled them. In Botswana, researchers have mapped corridors worn so deeply into the earth that satellites can see their tracks from space. But where new farms, fences, and roads slice across these invisible maps, elephants still try to walk the old way. To people guarding their crops, this can look like stubbornness or aggression, but the elephants are following instructions etched into family memory over centuries. Elephant society itself helps keep those instructions updated. Families led by different matriarchs regularly join into larger clans, then split apart again, forming a fission-fusion network that lets information travel. When one matriarch discovers a new water source, she can lead her relatives there, and soon several families may be using the same hidden pool. Some of that coordination happens through infrasound, deep rumbles too low for us to hear, rolling across miles of grass. Through these calls, distant relatives seem to time their movements, converging on food or water they cannot yet see. As Quito dozes among cousins and aunts, those faint vibrations stitch him into a living network of memory that stretches far beyond his own small world. But what happens when that network is broken? When the oldest voices fall silent and a family must face drought and danger without its elders? Across much of Africa, that question is no thought experiment, but a reality shaped by human hands. Poachers seeking ivory often target the elephants with the biggest tusks, which usually means the oldest females at the heart of each family. When a matriarch like Amara is killed, her family does not just lose a leader, it loses decades of stored experience about where to find food, water, and safety. In heavily poached regions, researchers have watched herds wander uncertainly, revisiting dried-up pans and ignoring distant valleys that older minds once remembered. Their home ranges shrink, calves grow weaker, and survival rates fall, even when rainfall patterns look normal on paper. For orphaned youngsters, the losses cut even deeper than hunger or thirst. Raised without steady elders, many young elephants grow up anxious and unpredictable, more likely to charge vehicles, attack other animals, or misread the intentions of nearby people. They struggle to form strong social bonds, and without clear guidance, they make poorer decisions about when to move, where to rest, and how close to come to farms and villages. Yet even in damaged populations, a different pattern sometimes appears. Younger females step forward as emergency matriarchs, taking the lead years or even decades earlier than they normally would. At first, their families stumble, arriving late to water, pushing too far into risky areas, or lingering too long in places that feel familiar but no longer hold what they need. But with time and protection from further killing, these stand-in leaders begin to rebuild a new mental map, learning fresh routes and gradually passing them on to daughters and nieces. Conservationists now know that saving elephants means more than counting how many are left on the landscape. It means protecting intact families, and especially their elders, so that the invisible threads of knowledge tying generations together are not severed. As Quito grows, every rumble he hears and turn he follows is slowly weaving his own mind into that living tapestry of memory. By the time he is grown, his intelligence will not be his alone, but a reflection of countless lives lived before him. As climate change scrambles the old rhythm of wet and dry seasons, the deep environmental memory held by matriarchs becomes even more precious. When Amara turns toward a distant, unseen waterhole, she carries her ancestors with her, their remembered journeys flowing through her choices to sustain elephants she will never meet.